You were seeking treatment for back pain through a doctor who was going to give you an injection in your back to make the back pain less or go away.
That's correct.
And when you went to see that doctor, you walked into his office, but you've never walked again.
When I had the procedure, I walked into the office and they took me out in a stretcher and I never walked again. Loss of my limbs it has limited my life in a lot of ways. I just can't express how much those losses are.
Welcome to Bayou Justice, Breaking Victims, Protecting Power. I'm your host, Chip Wagar, a medical malpractice attorney dedicated to reforming Louisiana's healthcare laws. On this show, we dive deep into the challenges faced by patients in our state, exploring how current laws often favor institutions over individuals. Each episode will bring you compelling stories from victims, insights from legal experts, and perspectives from lawmakers. Join us as we work to shed light on these issues and push for meaningful change in the Bayou State.
Hello, everybody. It's Chip Wagar, and once again, we're here on behalf of the Louisiana Patient Rights Advocacy Forum, our program Bayou Justice, Breaking Victims and Protecting Power, because that's the way it is right now, and we're trying to do something about that. Today, we're talking about something that often gets misunderstood in civil lawsuits, what the law calls general damages. That's the category that includes things like pain and suffering, emotional trauma, loss of enjoyment of life. These are kinds of losses that don't show up on a receipt, but in so many ways they define what's actually lost. And in medical malpractice, I can tell you, after 20 years of practicing law in this field, the injuries that happen in medical malpractice are as catastrophic and as devastating as any injuries in a trucking accident or any other kind of accident. General damages in medical malpractice, though, are limited. They're capped in Louisiana. They're capped at a maximum of $500,000, $100,000 by the negligent hospital, nursing home, or doctor, and another $400,000 by a government agency known as the Patient Compensation Fund. But it's capped at $500,000. That's the most you can get, doesn't matter how severe your injury may be. Now, joining me today is Tim Noel, who experienced a life-altering injury due to medical malpractice that's changed everything. And he's here to share that story, but also to help us understand what justice really means when you're talking about more than what receipts or paychecks can measure. So Tim, let me start. You have a medical malpractice lawsuit pending right now. Tell the people who see this just very briefly what happened to you. It started out with back pain and neck pain, as I recall.
I guess my animosity goes toward the doctor that did this to me. And there's no way of getting it back because my limbs are gone. The psychological part of the damages are really catastrophic. I was living in a nice neighborhood, nice place to be. I was building my life thinking that I would be all set. And then this doctor took that away from me. And there's no way of getting any of that back.
Now, you were seeking treatment for back pain through a doctor who was going to give you an injection in your back to make the back pain less or go away. Is that a fair
That's correct.
And when you went to see that doctor, you walked into his office, but you've never walked again.
When I had the procedure, I walked into the office and they took me out in a stretcher and I never walked again. And the loss of my limbs are created by what the doctor had done to me. It has limited my life in a lot of ways. I just can't express uh, how much those losses are. And then to turn around and look at, uh, I go to an attorney and I try to get compensation for what's happened to me, and finding out that there's very little that can be done. The cap that is here in Louisiana on malpractice is ridiculous. If I took, let's say, I go to my attorney and minus the attorney fees, uh, all of the other complications that go along with the lawsuit, and it leaves me with, let's say, $200,000 to live on, and I'm supposed to put that in the bank and live off of that. It's absurd. I have no way of expressing or even looking at uh, how that's going to play out in my life, because I haven't really reached it there yet, but uh, I believe that it's kind of a dead end road in trying to get compensation from the doctor that has done this to me.
Now, you were told eventually when you got legal help that Louisiana had this cap on general damages for pain and
That's
suffering
correct.
and loss of enjoyment of life. But the cap also covers loss of income. How old are you, Tim?
I am 62.
And how old were you when this happened?
Uh,
It's about 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah, 4 years ago. So I was, let's say, 58.
And as I understand it, in your former life, you were a chef. You at one point in your life, you worked at Antoine's restaurant. A lot of people know that restaurant from in New Orleans. Is that right?
For me, what's happened with my career, and it wasn't just a job, it was a career to me. And um, it took, I don't know how many years of uh, learning to do the things that I do for a living. And that's been taken away.
So it's not just loss of income, and that's something that we can add up with somewhat mathematical certainty, what your income was before and so forth. And you were in your late 50s. You had a ways to go yet. You could have earned a living well. I'm over 65 and I'm still working. You could have earned a living for another 10, 15, 20 years.
Exactly. And with for me to reach the level of artistry had taken many, many years. And if I look at it, so many people would die to have the position that I had when I was injured by this doctor. My whole life changed because of the fact that I can no longer really work in a kitchen and demonstrate my abilities. I could have built quite the restaurant entrepreneurial thing, struggling with that. Like I say, there's so many people that would die to have a position at Antoine's. And people have worked many, many, many years to get to that level. And now it's all taken away. And to try and seek compensation for what I've lost, there's no replacement.
A lot of times, Tim, I think this is particularly true of men. It's true of women as well, but particularly for men, we tend to take our identity and who we are a lot from what we do for a living. Would you agree with that?
Um, you know, I went from living in a house with my brother and to have my identity taken away from me because there's no recognition anymore of what I used to do and how I handled business. And it's terrible because people treat you completely different and have no idea of your capabilities, at least my capabilities. And it just leaves a big void in my life.
When you hear, sometimes when someone gets a big award in a lawsuit for personal injuries, some people say, wow, that's a big payday. Wow, that's a jackpot. What a lot of money, that is for pain and suffering, what's your reaction when you hear something like that?
I kind of had that thought before my injuries, thinking that, oh, if I can get a little money out of a lawsuit, I'd be in great shape. I would have to worry no longer, and uh, it's not even close to something like that. I don't know how to handle that.
You have, as a result of the malpractice in this particular case, the first thing that happened to you was you couldn't move your legs. You were paralyzed basically from the waist down.
That's correct.
And then you went to the hospital. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, over the course of the last couple of years, both of your legs have been amputated now. I guess we can see that, both of your legs have been amputated. When people react to you now, is it different from the way people reacted to you when you were living independently in your house with your brother and
Well,
had a life as a
I've
chef?
gone from living in a house, like I said, with my brother, and having a normal life, going to work every day, and now I'm losing my train of thought.
You're doing fine. How do people react to you now compared to the way people reacted to you before?
A lot of times I get the reaction, "Oh, you need help with this, or you need help with that," or a lot of times people shun me and try to stay away from uh, me as a individual. Uh, and it's actually very difficult to communicate today because people just figure, he's all right, or he'll be taken care of. Will you repeat that question?
Yeah, I was going to say, what a lot of people, when they see someone like you who's either paralyzed or has both of your limbs amputated and so forth, they have a hard time handling it. They don't know what to say. They don't say anything, or they have very limited interaction with someone like you. How does that make you feel? That's not the way you were before.
To have that loss of communication with people, the my abilities to take care of myself. A lot of times it's embarrassing when I have to ask for help. Um, and the deal is that now I'm in a nursing home, and even living in a nursing home, I don't get even a piece of my life the way that it used to be. And there's no compensation for that.
The cap of $500,000 that we're talking about under Louisiana law, covers not just pain and suffering. And you've got a lot of pain and a lot of suffering that's happened to you over these past few years. But it also covers the loss of income, as we've talked to before. And that's all crushed into this $500,000 is the maximum you can recover. And that was set back in 1975 and has never been changed. And any attempt to change it has been resisted by the hospitals, the nursing homes, the healthcare profession, and so forth, because they say, the doctors will leave the state, or it'll make our insurance too high. What do you say to people who defend the system that way?
Well,
I want no 4-letter words now. It's got to be.
Yeah. There's.
Do you think
when I have after my injuries, and I have to justify what's happened to me, and to put that to services that I should have, or the dignity that I should have, has all been taken away. And the nursing home, for me anyway, and the age that I'm at, and the losses that I've had, according to the cap that is on malpractice, how am I going to survive? Well, that's what I ask myself, is how am I going to survive? And not only that, but the way that I'm treated at the nursing home is just ludicrous. It's for somebody at my age and my abilities that I can no longer use, have been taken away, and there's no compensation for how that affects me. And bringing that forward, I mean, I just look at it and say, how am I going to survive?
People often think about surgeries and hospital stays and so forth, but what are some of the things that you've lost that most people wouldn't think about, or that you never thought about until this happened to you? What are some things that people wouldn't realize you lose when you lose something as profound as your ability to walk?
Oh, man. Something that people don't recognize. It reminds me of going up to the Coca-Cola machine and sitting in a wheelchair and not being able to reach the money slot so that I can get a Coca-Cola. And people just don't realize, the struggles of handicapped people, being able to live a life without having to have help is unbelievable. The loss of walking, the loss of many other things, is just profound, and it can't be recovered.
You're in the nursing home now, and with no ability to walk independently, and getting afflicted as you have been with pressure ulcers and things of that nature. You're basically very dependent on other people.
There's no Today, when I was getting ready to come here, I have there's a nurse that does my wound care, and I couldn't leave the premises without having my wounds tended to. And, you know, I was laying flat on my back and having to have
Take your time. Take your time.
I used to be very independent, and to have somebody put my pants on and button my shirt, and you know that loss is just unbelievable.
Just simple things like that. Simple things.
The simple things of buttoning my shirt. I understand that, when you get older, you have a hard time with stuff like that. But I'm at somebody else's mercy to put my pants on. I mean, I can, let's say if you give me 45 minutes, I might be able to finish dressing myself. It's some days it's just too much to handle. And, um, the understanding of what those losses are that nobody can really put a thumb to. With myself, I'm limited to the way that my neck goes. I can only turn a certain way. Not like I used to be able to do things ambidextrously, even. And today, I was thinking about coming here, and since I have a colostomy, I have a what's the word for a catheter, and my legs are gone, and I've lost other things as well from this. And how can I ever recapture my life? It's just unfathomable to try to put words to how this has taken me. It's just too much.
Tim, the law that was in effect that caps damages for your injury, it's too late for you. There's nothing, even if the law gets changed, it's too late for you. Why did you come here today, and what would you like maybe some people in the legislature who can have the power to change this 1975 era law, what would you like to tell them about the impact that this outdated, antique cap on damages is doing to our society, and what would you like them to do about it?
Well, with the losses that I've had and that I deal with every day, and trying to change the legislature where I'm compensated fairly. There has to be a change. So many people are affected, and like me, there's no turning back. There's nothing that I can do about it, and since I'm going through a malpractice suit right now, uh, and I don't know how the outcome is going to be, but the losses that I have, and there has to be some sort of change in the law where I can be compensated and live in the same manner that I lived before. You know, there was a standard that I had in my life, and that standard has been taken away. And that's one of the things that needs to be worked on is proper compensation so that people can take care of themselves and have the dignity to do so. Um, where things are just taken away. And to try and get the legislature to uh, change things back or change things to where it should be uh, is it would be a godsend. But like has been said, that it's a little late for me. There's no changes in the legislature or uh, ways to get compensated for my injuries. I mean, for me to go to the nursing home and live the way that I live, I mean, I have a little corner that I live in. And uh, when you have a life such as I had, uh, there's just no way to put even a little corner of my life into the nursing home. And uh, it's not a lot of fun.
You know, a lot of people will say, well, you know, there's no amount of money that could, you know, compensate you for this loss. But that's the only thing that we have in our society to try to compensate someone for what they've lost. I, if you were to get $10 million, $20 million, or that you could have your legs back and your life back that you had before, which would you take?
Man, you know, I used to complain when I get up in the morning and I have to go to work. And today, I complain about not having work to do. Um, and there's no replacement for the way that I used to live. Um, if I could have my legs back and uh, the pain and suffering that I've been through, I can't put it together. To have my ability to work again, my ability to have some of my dignity and just in regular living, there's no compensation for uh, what has happened to me. And no amount of money can replace uh, what has happened.
Tim, what are you living for today?
You know, I really don't know anymore. The enjoyments of life have been stripped away. And, uh, you know, when I think about it, what do I live for? I don't know. I consider, you know, uh, trying to, I get the words for it, to penalize the doctor that has done this to me and get that back, get that piece of life that I had prior to this accident.
Do you think that the malpractice claim that you're asserting now is a good thing? Getting justice for yourself, but also, do you think that these cases, when they're brought to court, when the light of day is shown on them, that they serve a purpose to deter this kind of blatant malpractice that causes such terrible suffering? Do you think that you're bringing this lawsuit is serving a purpose beyond just getting a money damages?
Kind of what I look at is, the doctor that did this to me. And I wonder how many other people he's done this to, and still being able to practice medicine is absurd.
And he is still practicing medicine. And he is still practicing medicine.
And he is still
His
practicing.
license has never been taken away for this or anything else.
He doesn't get any kind of punishment or retribution or anything like that. I mean, for him to have to pay $100,000 for his insurance that has crippled me for the rest of my life, and he earns $100,000 a week in his practice, is for him to pay the insurance is nothing to him. And it turns me into, make me feel like I'm just a piece of dirt, where he doesn't care. I mean, it's just unfathomable that a doctor can continue to practice and, hurt other people. And so that's kind of what parts of my lawsuit is about, is making sure, or trying to stop the doctors from doing what they're doing, and they get away with it so blatantly. And there's just, I can't believe that here in society that we allow somebody to do damages to patients and basically get away with it. And then there's no compensation from the doctor. There's just, and it needs to change.
Tim, I want to thank you for sharing your story with us today and helping all of us understand that, justice in medical malpractice isn't just numbers, on a piece of paper. I want to ask anyone who's watching this to help us help you before malpractice happens to you or a loved one, someone in your family. And it is quite common. It's the third leading cause of death in the United States, and it causes untold hundreds of thousands of catastrophic injuries like Tim's. And in Louisiana, it is very severely restricted. Your rights have been stripped away in favor of a very privileged and wealthy few who practice medicine. And we all know, we all love our doctors, and most doctors are great, and they're really out there trying to help us. And I know I couldn't do what I do without the help of other doctors. But when someone suffers a catastrophic injury like this, they deserve full, fair compensation. And here in Louisiana, they're not getting it, and they haven't been getting it for half a century now. Can you help us? Yes, you can. Go to our website. Our website is patientrightsla.com. Go to the page with your legislator on it. You can find, if you don't know who it is, you can find out based upon your zip code or where you live, you can find out who your legislator is. Do something, and do something today. Let them know this law needs to be changed. This is a barbaric law that has stripped away our rights. Do it before it happens to you, because for Tim, it's too late. The law can't be changed now, and his rights have been restricted, and the justice he's going to get is going to be very incomplete. But other people who've yet to experience this system need to do something, and do something now, to restore the rights to people in Louisiana from this brutal, cruel law that gives us here in Louisiana less rights in medical malpractice than anywhere else in the country. Thanks for being here today with us. It's been great talking to you, Tim. Thanks again. I know this has been a struggle at times to tell this story, but it's very important that people hear it.
Thank you for listening to Bayou Justice. I hope today's episode has given you valuable insights into the complexities of medical malpractice in Louisiana. If you'd like to learn more about our mission or get involved in our advocacy efforts, please visit patientrightsla.com. Your support can make a real difference in the lives of patients across our state. Remember, together we can create a fairer, more just healthcare system for all Louisianians. This is Chip Wagar, and I'll see you next time on Bayou Justice.